Hey guys, welcome back to day 2 of Georgetown Baptist Church's virtual vacation Bible school. I'm excited to be back with you again tonight for another great message that has been given to me to share with you guys. The title of tonight's lesson is called God is Almighty. And you know from last night's lesson and us talking about that God is the one true God and how He desires to have a relationship with us. You've probably already learned just from that lesson that God is our Almighty. It focuses tonight on how He is an all-knowing God, how He is all-powerful, and how He is always present with us. And I'll explain these in a little bit more detail as we go throughout the lesson this afternoon. But I also wanted to tell you and your family at home, since we're doing this virtually, that if you want to just double check the things that I am telling you and your children as you're watching these videos, and I encourage you to do that so that you can just verify everything that I'm saying is true. This all comes from Psalms 139, the entire chapter of Psalm 139. And the book of Jonah, so you can go back and reread this with your child before they go to bed tonight. So that'll give you the opportunity just to go back and double check all the information. You might remember that last night when we were doing our lesson together, we talked about a man named Paul and how Paul had gone to the city of Athens, and he was so disappointed because when he got there, people were worshiping all these different idols. And we talked about that was anything that took the place of our relationship with the Lord. And he got very discouraged, but he knew his one true creator and the one true God that we're all supposed to be worshiping. And it was so important to him that he wanted to go and share and tell everybody that he could in the city of Athens about our one true God. Well, tonight I'm going to tell you about another man that God wanted to have a relationship with, just like He desires to have a relationship with us. This man's name is Jonah. So I'm going to read you, instead of just telling you, I wanted to read the story tonight to you about Jonah's encounter with the Lord and what happened to him along his journey. So it says, our Bible account starts tonight with God telling Jonah to go to a place called Nineveh. That was a specific town. Just like Athens is where Paul went. God wanted Jonah to go there because it was a bad city. And the people didn't know about that one true God. So Jonah was supposed to go and tell them that God's judgment was coming. God was very angry with the people of Nineveh. But Jonah, he didn't want to go there. He didn't like the people there. So Jonah decided, I'll just go another direction. So he decided to go to the city of Tarshish. Jonah went over there and paid some money and got on a boat to go out to the sea. Well, the boat started out on the ocean, but the Lord sent a big wind and a storm out on the open sea. The sailors were very, very afraid. They thought the boat might break into pieces because the storm had gotten so out of control and was so bad. They started throwing all the supplies off the ship, hoping just to lighten the load so the boat wouldn't sink. During this whole time, guess what Jonah was doing? He was sleeping. The captain went and got him up and told him to go call on God for help. You see, the sailors had figured out the storm had only come to them because Jonah was trying to get away from God. You see, sometimes when God's wanting us to do something or He's trying to talk to us and we are running from God because we don't want to do the right thing or we don't want to follow God's direction, God always finds a way to bring us back to Him. And that's what He's doing here to Jonah. Jonah is just trying to get away because he didn't want to do what God wanted him to do. But God reached out to Jonah, and you're going to hear that in the rest of the story. Jonah knew that God had sent the storm because Jonah was trying to run away from God. But you can't run away from God, can you? He always knows where you are. Remember how earlier I talked about God being all-knowing? Well, God knows where we are and what we're doing at all times. You may think, oh, I'm going to do something and my mom and dad are not going to know, or my teacher's not going to know, or my grandparents are not going to know. They may not, but God sees and He knows everything we're doing. He knows everywhere we are. And He knew that about Jonah. He knew where Jonah had gone and tried to hide. So Jonah told the sailors, just go ahead and throw me overboard, and then God will stop this storm. As soon as Jonah was thrown overboard, guess what? The storm stopped. Guess what happened to Jonah when he fell in the sea? God sent a big fish to swallow him up. Can you imagine being in the belly of a big fish for 3 days and 3 nights? Well, that's where Jonah was for 3 days and 3 nights. Do you think God knew Jonah was there? Well, of course He did, because we just talked about that God is all-knowing. He knows every place we go every single day. So yes, God knew, because God knows everything at all times. He knows where we are, and He's even with each person at all times. So He knows where your mom is at all times. He knows where your dad is, your brothers and sisters, your grandparents, your teachers. He's watching each one of us at all times. If you're hiding under your bed, God knows you're there. If you're hiking out in the wood, well, God knows you're there. If you're at school, God can see you and He knows that you're there. If you're playing hide and seek, God knows where you are and He's there. Wherever you are, God knows, and He is always there with you. So that keeps you from having to fear, because you never have to feel alone, because God is always there, just like He was with Jonah. So God knew where Jonah was, and God was with him, even though Jonah thought he was dying in the belly of that fish. But then he prayed to God, and God heard his prayer, and He commanded the big fish to vomit, that's kind of gross, huh? To vomit up Jonah onto the shore. God is so powerful that a fish does what He tells it to do. I wonder if a fish would do what we tell it to do. Probably not, huh? God can start and stop a storm. God can cause a fish to swallow up Jonah. And God can also command that fish to throw him back up. So you see that God is all-knowing. He knows everything we do, even when we're trying to run away from Him. He's always present, meaning He's with us wherever we go and whatever we do. And He's also all-powerful. He can take care of any situation that we're in if we ask Him to. So I've got a question for you. Do you think anything is too hard for God? Well, absolutely nothing is too hard for our God, and the Bible tells us that. Remember how we talked about last night, if we want to know something specific about God, we can go to His Word, because He wrote that. And we know that it's to be true, because we learned last night that God can never lie. He can do anything He wants to do. Do you think it's hard for God to make a star or a planet? Of course not, because He can do anything. He's too powerful. Is it too hard for God to see in the dark? No. Is it too hard for God to be at the bottom of the ocean and on the top of a mountain at the same time? No, because God is present everywhere. Is it too hard for God to make a person? No, because He's all powerful and He can do anything. He created you, He created me, He created everything in this world that we live in. Is it too hard for God to stop a storm or to put that beautiful rainbow in the sky? No, because He created all of those things. Is it too hard for God to bring Jesus back to life? No, because we know that He did bring Jesus back to life. So we know that God is almighty. He has all the power that He needs. He is our amazing, all-knowing, all-powerful, and all-present God. And the great news is, He's also very kind and loving. We learned that last night as well. And he cares about us. And he always uses his power for our good. He never uses his power to hurt us. Can you imagine if he was like some of those Greek gods that we talked about last night, where he was the powerful king of the universe, but he wasn't good or kind? That would be a little scary, wouldn't it? But we don't have to worry about that because he is good and he is kind. And he is the king of everything. So I wanted to ask you guys just a couple little questions about tonight's lesson and what happened with Jonah, and I'll give you a chance to respond. And I know that I can't hear your responses, but you can say them to Mom and Dad, and then I'll tell you what the correct answer is. It says, who tried to run away from God and why? It was Jonah. Jonah tried to run away from God, and it's because he didn't want to go to Nineveh. He didn't like the people in Nineveh, and he didn't want to do what God had told him to do. Next question. What did the sailors do with Jonah when he was on the boat? They threw Jonah overboard. What happened to the storm when they threw Jonah overboard into the ocean? That's right, God stopped the storm because Jonah was the reason the storm was happening to begin with, because he was running away from God, and God had to do something to get Jonah's attention. Just like he would do for you or me if we tried to run away from him. If he was trying to put us on the right track and help us to do the right thing, and we were constantly running and trying to hide from him, he would do something to get our attention to bring us back to him. And it may not be putting us in the belly of a fish or throwing us overboard of a ship, but he would do something to get our attention because he loves us so much. He wants us to live fully for him. One more question. How does it make you feel to know that God is with you all the time? So for me, when I think about my everyday life, and whether I'm at home or I'm at work or I'm in the grocery store or a shopping center, or no matter where I'm at, when I think about knowing that God is with me at all times and that he's all knowing, he sees everything around me, he's all present and he's all powerful, it gives me a peace in my heart so that I don't have to be scared. So the next time that you're scared, maybe from a bad storm outside at nighttime that you can't see, or maybe when you're at school and you've got a big test to take and you've studied hard but you just are scared, or maybe you're scared to go to the doctor because you're not feeling good, or anything, any situation to where you might be worried, you don't really have to be, because God is there with you. You, like I said last night, you might not can physically see him, but he is there, and he hears you when you talk to him and ask him to be there with you. And he is powerful enough that he can take care of you. Nothing is too hard or too big for our God. And so just remember that. All you have to do is talk to him. So remember tonight that God does love you. He knows everything about you at all times. He is always with you no matter where you are. He is always powerful enough to take care of any problem that we have. If you know somebody that's sick and you want to pray for them, God can take care of them. If you're wanting to stay safe in a ball game, you can pray and God will hear your prayer. If you want to be safe at school, pray to God and he will take care of you. If you're traveling on the road with your family and you want God to watch out and protect your family, he will hear you and he will be there with you. So if you will, let's just bow our heads for a moment and have some prayer time together. Dear Lord, I just thank you for this blessed day, Lord, and I just thank you that you are who you say you are to us. Father God, I thank you that you are all-knowing, that you know everything about my life and these children's lives, and that you are always present with us, that you are always present, and that you take care of us. You see everything around us, even the things that we can't see, Lord. You are there with us, and that you love us so much that you just want to keep us safe and you want to protect us. That is your will for us, is to be safe and protected. And you are all powerful, God. We thank you for that we don't have to worry because nothing is too difficult for you. And we thank you for what you do for us each and every day. And Lord, I just thank you for each child that is out there watching this video tonight, Lord, that you just place these words in their heart, Lord, so that they don't have to worry or be afraid, God, that you love them so much that they can talk to you every day. They don't have to ask their parent if they can talk to you, that they can go in their room and have special time with you and just pray, and they can be outside in the yard playing by themselves, Lord, and just sit and talk to you, God. And I thank you for that you listen to us and that you love us. In your name, Jesus, I ask this prayer. Amen. Thank you for being with me tonight, and I love all of you guys, and I will see you again tomorrow night.